Hi everyone, welcome to the Feel Good Violin Club. I'm Liz, and today I'm going to be talking about violin tips, tricks, and techniques that will help you reach your next plateau. So whether you're a relative beginner or an intermediate player or more advanced player, these are just kind of general, straightforward tips that I found apply to lots of different players of lots of different levels. A little disclaimer here that everybody's playing and everybody's tendencies are naturally different, so I'm not saying that these are things that are going to necessarily work for everyone. But throughout many years of teaching now and many years of study and seeing all sorts of different people and peers play, I found that these are 6 ideas that really can be applied to lots of different players. So if you're ready to level up your playing, keep on watching. So our first tip is really something that can be applied no matter what instrument you play. And this is to ask yourself the question, am I really doing everything that's in the music? And this is one of the most simple and straightforward ways that we can almost immediately coach ourselves and level up our playing without the input or guidance of really anybody else. Usually when we're just starting to learn a piece of music, we're very focused on notes and rhythms, but most of the time there's so much more information that's being given to you on the page, all sorts of details and directions. Articulation markings, dynamic markings, words. I think words are what we actually most often kind of overlook when we're learning and practicing a piece of music. And so I would say if you really want to level up your playing, I would start there. Maybe put your instrument aside, get out a pencil, take a really thorough look at your music and see all of these juicy directions that are already right there laid out in front of you. And if you go through this process, you will undoubtedly come out on the other side with a much more vibrant musical product. The second tip is to vibrate more often. And again, just a little disclaimer here that of course this idea isn't going to be applicable to every violinist, especially as you grow and mature as a musician. Vibrato is something that does become very nuanced. But I would say that throughout many years, usually many years of a violinist's development, this idea of vibrating more often is something that does ring true and generally only helps us because vibrato almost immediately makes your sound more singing, makes your sound more soulful, and kind of pulls on the listener's heartstrings more. The third tip is to use more bow. And again, this won't apply to everyone, but generally I found that using more bow helps project the sound, helps kind of create all of these layers of resonance and reverberation inside your instrument and out. And I've just found throughout years of watching my peers and colleagues and of course watching my idols perform that using more bow just really does something to make the sound vibrant and make the sound really reach us as listeners. So I remember a specific performance, actually this was a few years back here in New York. I went to go see the Juilliard String Quartet. This was before Joseph Lynn left the group. I think he left in 2018, so this was when he was still the first violinist of the Juilliard String Quartet. And I was just enthralled with his playing, and I wasn't close up. In fact, I was sitting in the balcony several rows back, but something about his use of bow just captivated me, and he was just so expansive with it, and the sound was just like emanating out of him into the audience all the way back to where I was, and that has really stuck with me. And since then I've really noticed this kind of expansive bow feeling in many other of my real favorite violinists playing. So playing with more bow, it gets the sound really projecting, it gets all of these vibrations really resonating inside and outside the instrument. But I also think that as the person playing, using more bow does something for you. It helps you feel more engaged and more invested in what it is that you're playing, and it helps you feel more outwardly expressive. So I really think that using more bow is a great way to improve your sound and level up your playing. So this segues right into my fourth idea, which is to find a true legato. And I think this is something that is a real challenge for string players. It's not necessarily something that we can find right away because we only have so much bow, and that means that we're constantly having to change bow direction. And without some technical figuring out, it can be difficult to know how to mask those bow changes and make a sound that's truly connected and smooth and sustained. And it's common for players who are at maybe an intermediate level, who are working on finding this true sustained legato, to end up with something like a swell in the middle of their bow. So finding a true legato, that is really the mark of a beautiful player and really helps with the feeling of lyricism and musicality in your playing. Number 5 is to try the harder fingering. I love this one because we all, we like to do fingerings that are reliable and that we know that we can do well. But the sounds of the violin that probably first drew you to it were these maybe haunting, really singing sounds that you probably did not hear from someone who was just playing in first position. Playing high up on the A string or D string is just not going to sound the same as playing in first position on the E string. Learning how to play with all of the different registers of your instrument, that's what gives you this grand palette of different colors and textures and moods. So if you really want to level up your playing, that's a kind of key component is this process of getting comfortable with all of these different positions of the instrument so that you can really explore the amount of colors that are there for you. So the more comfortable you get with these, what may seem like crazy fingerings in your music, truly the more expressive potential you have. And the last tip of the day is to make music. Yeah, make music. This is a little more complex of an idea, maybe. Actually, my next video is going to be on musicality specifically and what that really means and some tools for helping you feel like a more expressive and musical player. But yeah, this is definitely something. This is a huge one, actually, in terms of helping us become better players and more mature, more sophisticated violinists. So for those of you where this may be a kind of unfamiliar idea or where it may seem kind of abstract, maybe you kind of know what I'm talking about but aren't really sure how to do it yourself, let me just start by saying that you may have more artistic and interpretive decisions to make than you realize. So if you are already pretty sure that you're doing most of what's in the music or doing everything that's in the music, you're following the dynamics, you're playing with the articulation markings that are written in, you have figured out what all the words mean, there are some questions you can ask yourself like, how can I make this phrase more beautiful? Or how can I make this phrase sound like a more expressive or a more complete idea? Or how can I give this more of the mood that I'm trying to make it have? So it may help if you have recordings of whatever music you're working on to take a listen and come up with some descriptive words that help you have a kind of emotional attachment or emotional connection to the music. So some words you might come up with may be haunting or calm or agitated or yearning. These are some of the words that can really help you become more emotionally engaged in what you're playing, and that will almost certainly help your playing become more musical. So just keep in mind that these are 6 ideas that you can continue returning to, kind of no matter what level you're at, because these are all the sorts of ideas that really keep us engaged in our practicing and in our playing. So it's not just that they help us improve and level up, as I was advertising. It's just that they keep us really engaged and keep us making a really expressive musical product. And these are all things that do require more energy. They require more investment and commitment, you know, vibrating often and feeling expansive with your bow and being really intentional about what you see in the music. You know, these are all things that require attention and investment in what you're doing, and you know, it's easy for all of us to get complacent sometimes. So these are really reminders for all of us, and it's these qualities, the things that keep us so engaged, that are what makes really special performances really special. It's that level of commitment and engagement. So I hope you got something from this video. If there's any specific idea that really got your gears turning, I hope you'll share with us in the comment section. Thank you, as always, for hanging out with me today and watching this video. And I look forward to seeing you again next time. Bye.